If you're running payroll or thinking about it, this is a video you do not want to miss. Because even well-meaning business owners are making costly mistakes that could cost them with the IRS, or even worse, with their team. So today, I'm going to break down the 5 most common payroll mistakes I see and talk about how you can avoid them. And by the way, that 5th mistake is one that I see even experienced business owners making, and it could be silently draining your profit. So stick around to the end to make sure you're not doing that. Hi everyone, I'm Jamie Trull, your favorite CPA, financial literacy coach, and profit strategist. And here on this channel, I bring you all the content to help you stay informed, organized, and profitable in your business finance. So please make sure to subscribe. So let's start with the mistake number 1. And this is one of the biggest and potentially most costly mistakes that can happen. And that is not setting aside payroll taxes or not calculating them correctly. When you run payroll, you're responsible for withholding both the employer and employee portion of tax. So we're talking about things like federal income tax, Social Security, Medicare, and also potentially state and local taxes that you need to be aware of. Now, if you're not setting aside those taxes the moment that payroll is running, you could get yourself in some hot water. If you're doing it this way, once those tax deadlines hit, then you could be in the situation where you are falling behind and you don't have the money to pay those taxes. So the important thing is to be proactive and treat that money like it wasn't even yours to begin with. Now, if that sounds tedious or hard to keep track of, the very good news for you is that there are lots of tools on the marketplace that can help you with this. Having a payroll system you can trust is going to be key in making sure you do this correctly. And one of my favorites is OnPay. And the great thing about using a company like OnPay to calculate your taxes for you is that not only are they going to calculate and withhold all of those taxes automatically, but they're also going to file all those required reports. We're talking about federal, state, and local payroll reports. And by taking care of all of that for you, that means that you are not scrambling at tax time and wondering how you're going to handle these taxes. Now let's talk about the number 2 mistake with payroll that I see people making, and that is misclassifying their workers. And this is a sneaky one, and I see it all the time. Now, I've done some other content on this channel specifically talking about the difference between an employee and a contractor. And if you are misclassifying that, especially if someone is working like they're an employee, but you're paying them like a contractor, that could be a big problem. Now, the rules on this vary, and some states have even more stringent requirements. However, the general rule of thumb is that if you're controlling their work, i.e. what they're doing and how they're doing their work and the times that they're doing their work, more than likely that person is an employee. And the difference here is that for an employee, you're responsible for withholding those taxes from their paychecks and also making sure that you're paying the employer side of those taxes. On the flip side, if someone is truly a 1099 contractor, please don't use the word 1099 employee because that is an oxymoron. If you do hire a 1099 contractor that truly is in charge of their own schedule and you do not dictate that, then when you pay those contractors, they are actually going to be the ones that are responsible for withholding and paying both the employer and employee side of those taxes. For them, it's considered self-employment taxes because ultimately they're considered to be self-employed, not employed by you. Now, you can understand why some companies would maybe want to hire contractors versus employees because there are less taxes and administration to worry about. However, it really is about the nature of the job, and you want to make sure that you are in compliance. Now, if you're unsure, make sure to check the regulations with the IRS and also your state Department of Labor, which again may have more specific rules for when somebody needs to be deemed an employee. Now, this is another area where the right payroll provider can really help, and this is another reason that I love OnPay. One cool thing about OnPay that you don't get necessarily in every payroll provider is the ability to pay both employees and contractors even in the same payroll run. Or because you get unlimited payroll runs in a month, you can handle them separately and run as many different payrolls as you want to. And another really cool thing is that OnPay is going to handle all the year-end requirements like W-2s and even 1099s for your contractors for free. That's all included within the package, which again is not true for all payroll platforms. And by the way, if you're unsure if you're doing this correctly and want to check how you are categorizing your workers currently, then definitely check out the free worker classification tool that I have attached in the description down below. Now, mistake number 3 is missing payroll deadlines. That is something you do not want to do. And that means things like your paycheck due dates. You do not want to miss paying your team. You also don't want to miss those tax deposit due dates or those quarterly and annual filings. So there are lots of different due dates to stay aware of when it comes to payroll. And unfortunately, even small delays can really rack up the interest and penalties over time. So you want to make sure you have a system that is going to remind you when those payroll taxes are due and make sure that they are filed correctly. Now, you can go through the process of setting up your own calendar reminders to remind you to file all of the forms, but a good payroll software solution should take most of this work off of your plate. In OnPay, for example, you get automated reminders before it's time to run payroll, and even reminders to tell you that a federal holiday is coming up and ask you if you want to process early. And of course, as for tax deposits and filings, they also will handle all of that for you so that you don't need to worry about it. Now let's go to payroll mistake number 4, which is not paying yourself correctly, especially if you are an S-Corp owner. As an S-Corp owner, if you're actively working in your business, the IRS does expect you to pay yourself a reasonable salary for the work that you are doing within your business. And if you're skipping payroll or not paying yourself enough, that can be an IRS red flag, and it can lead to back taxes that you may have to pay later on in time if you're audited. Now, if you want to know more about this, make sure to watch this video on screen next, which is all about how to set a reasonable salary for yourself, even if you are the only employee in your business. So just make sure you set this up properly, and remember, it's not a luxury to pay yourself in your business, especially if you are an S-Corp owner. You do need to be on payroll and doing all the withholding just like you would for any other employee. Now, to avoid these issues, I highly recommend that business owners put themselves on payroll and use a payroll provider like OnPay to actually pay themselves in their business. And the great thing about OnPay is that you can do this even if you're the only employee. And another thing that I love specifically about OnPay when it comes to being a shareholder on payroll is that it can handle any of those taxable shareholder fringe benefits that you might have to worry about, like accounting for company paid health insurance. And finally, mistake number 5, and honestly, probably the most exhausting one, is trying to DIY your own payroll without a reliable system. Now, I see business owners all the time who want to save money, go the route of DIYing their payroll taxes, and honestly, it is just not a good idea, especially when there are so many great options out there available for a low cost. Trying to manually calculate these taxes, file all the forms, write the paychecks, that is a full-time job, y'all. And I don't know about you, but I don't have time for that. I am sure you don't either. And if you are paying an accountant to do this for you, you're probably paying a heck of a lot more than if you were to just use a reliable payroll service. And that's why I highly recommend using a payroll service like OnPay, because they're going to handle all of that at a low monthly cost, way less than if you had to hire someone to do this for you. And the great thing is that it's really easy to use. So even as the small business owner, you can run your payroll in minutes a week. I don't know about you, but I am a huge fan of automation and reducing headaches, so I definitely recommend trying it out. And if you're interested in knowing more about OnPay and want to grab my special referral bonus for joining through my link, then go to jamietrull.com/OnPay. That is my partner link that's going to get you the best deal and a referral bonus just for signing up. And if you're thinking about trying out OnPay but aren't really sure if it's right for you, definitely watch this video next where I give you my full insider review of OnPay when I demoed it myself. You can also check out more resources around payroll in the link in the description below, and make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.